Welcome back to Susan Dawn's Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Sacred Union Energy Update. We are going to have a reading today. I will have the timestamp for that in the description box. But first, we're going to do a little bit of a channeling on the astrological transits, on signs and synchronicities we might be experiencing, on some downloads we've been getting, and a little bit of a rampage that I experienced last night. I'll be sharing that as well. So there is a lot, and we're not always going to be doing channelings before the Sacred Union readings, but because there is so much that is happening right now, especially for the Sacred Union path of ascension as a whole, it is rapidly accelerating. We are all experiencing it in some way, shape, or form. But especially for those of us who are experiencing Sacred Union, the Sacred Union path of ascension, there's a lot that is helping to support that is helping us navigate this path. And so I would be remiss to neglect that or to not share what is going on. And so these channelings are all part of the whole. Again, we're not always going to be doing the channelings before the readings, but it's all part of the whole. And so take it as part of the whole. Okay, let's get right into it. So right now we have 4 planets going in retrograde. So we have Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, and recently Mercury retrograde, which is our favorite retrograde, isn't it? Not at all. Actually, I was born during a Mercury retrograde, and so I always felt like I never experienced all the tumultuousness of Mercury retrograde. Clearly, I still have some effects of it, but I've always kind of looked at it as a blessing, and it is. If you start looking at astrology as this cosmic support, is what I like to call it, then it will change your experience. It will change your life because it is meant to support you. It is not meant to punish you. It is just meant to redefine you. And that's what the retrogrades are all about. They're all about redefining you so that you can move forward in a healthier fashion. Everything in this universe is trying to support us in our spiritual journeys and helping us to remember who we are. Everything in this universe. But you have a choice in your mindset. Are you going to choose that victim mode where everything looks like a punishment, that it looks like the universe is against you? Or are you going to choose seeing everything as a blessing, everything as an opportunity to learn and evolve from, everything as love? It truly is a mindset choice. It truly is a choice in your own perspective. And once you choose looking at everything through that lens of love, looking at everything through that lens of, oh, the universe really is supporting me, even though this is so difficult, even though this is so painful, what can I take away from this experience? What can I learn about myself? How can I use this to grow? How can I evolve to become a better individual, to keep pursuing my spiritual path? How can I keep evolving? Everything is supporting us. The universe is always supporting us. It's just our own separation mindset. It's our own wounding of separation, which is the core wound of everything. It's our own wound of separation that keeps us from ourselves, that keeps us disconnected from the universe itself and the support that the universe has. Now, you can apply that by using the phrase God, God source, higher power, creator, whatever you are more comfortable with. It is all of it. These are all labels that we use to define things. And they're helpful in our human experience, but it is all part of that same source energy. It is all that oneness. It is all that energy, that wholeness. And so are you. And that's what we're meant to remember along this journey. The ultimate healing of our journey that I talk about in the Unity Code is unity, consciousness, and oneness. And what is that? It is healing the separation within ourselves, within our connections with a sacred partner or other relationships, with God's source itself, with the universe itself. Whatever you want to call it, it is healing that core wound of separation. We are constantly returning to where are the separation programs and patterns and beliefs still running? Where's that program still running? And so these astrological supports are just helping us redefine ourselves, reevaluate ourselves, rediscover ourselves, remember ourselves. Like I always say, all the re's, right? So this Mercury retrograde just began. We might have been experiencing the shadow phase a couple of weeks ago, but it just turned retrograde July 17th, and that's a significant day. 17, as you know, is a significant twin flame, sacred union number. It is Also, I'll get to that, what we experienced. There's a very significant sign in synchronicity that came up, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So, July 17th through August 11th, and then you'll have a post retrograde shadow period as well. This Mercury retrograde in Leo is, again, all about the slowdown, the reflection, considering your communication. Is it coming from a place of honesty? Is it coming from a place of authenticity? Is it being deliberate? It's also a word that I channeled. Deliberate. Is it deliberate? Is it intentional? Are you reacting or are you responding? It's asking you to reevaluate your heart and what you want and the direction that you're going, so that when it does go direct, Mercury does go direct, it can support you in that forward movement into where you want to go. This Mercury retrograde is also asking, where are you putting your energy? Because again, the universe is always trying to align with you, but it's your energy that initiates, your energy that leads. And so, where are you putting your energy? That's what the universe itself responds to. That's the literal law of attraction, it's the law of the universe. What you put out is what you're getting back. So, where are you putting your energy? Is that actually supporting you? Are you actually growing? So, are you putting your energy towards love? Are you putting your energy towards authenticity? Are you putting your energy towards something honest and true? Or are you repeating patterns and cycles and getting caught up in continued consciousness loops? So, that's where you're going to be redefining yourself. That's where you're going to be realigning. I also channeled the phrase, two words, recognition and remembrance, and that feels like it's highlighted here in this Mercury retrograde as well. This is realigning you with your heart. So old wounds and old triggers might come up, but it's asking you to reevaluate, to look beyond the layers, or look deeper into those layers for more of that healing, more of that clearing. Now remember, healing can also be a consciousness loop. So while you're doing the deep dives, just be mindful that you're also meant to be having a lived experience, because your spirituality is meant to be embodied and put into practice, not just a spiritual practice of meditation and energy healing. It is a lived experience. And so you might have triggers and wounds that come up, but how are you responding now? How are you putting everything that you've learned into practice? And you have come such a long way on your journey. Remember to put all those tools that you've gained into practice. Conscious communication, conscious mindfulness, consciousness, just higher levels of consciousness, because you are in a state of a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of awareness of yourself, your patterns, your behaviors. And so, how are you now applying that forward? Okay, so that is Mercury retrograde. We're not getting deep into that. If you want to learn more about all the transits that are going on, one of my favorite astrologists online is on the internet is Alex Miles. She goes really in depth into all the transits, including how they might be affecting you and your sign. So Alex Miles, Myles, I believe is how you say it. So you can learn more through her as well. Okay, let's get into some of the signs and synchronicities. We also have song downloads and experiences and all sorts of stuff going on. So, what was interesting about this Mercury retrograde? Again, July 17th, it is number one. 17 is a big number for twin flames and sacred partners, as well as 717. So, if you're seeing 17, if you're seeing 717, those are signs and synchronicities. Number one, showing you that you are in alignment and getting you on the path, or back on your path. Number two, it could be a sign for you of communication or reconciliation or reunion with a twin flame or counterpart. For me, whenever I would see consistently 17, not looking for it, but just it showing up in my awareness, that would always be a sign or synchronicity that there was kind of incoming communication with my counterpart, and there would always be that within a couple of days. So 17 or 717 are significant numbers for twin flames and sacred partners within your own individual journey. Yes, I'm on the right path. Yes, I'm in alignment with myself, with my heart, with my higher heart, and or communication or reconciliation or some kind of reunion or energy exchange with your counterpart. So, the day Mercury went retrograde, something very interesting happened on the internet. Those of you who might be aware of the history of Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, and Lindsey Buckingham, you might know this story. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham were in a band together. and they had a relationship together. And that relationship went south. And over the years, they had a very off and on tumultuous relationship to the point where they did not speak to each other. They did not want to have any interaction with each other. However, Lindsay was still part of Stevie's band. And so their story, you can read more about that. You can look it up, research more about their story. Their story has always been kind of the thing of legends. And it's very interesting because the day Mercury went retrograde, Stevie posted half of a lyric on her Instagram, and then Lindsay posted half of a lyric on his Instagram. And the lyric itself is interesting. The song is called Frozen Love. The lyric that Stevie posted was, "And if you go forward," and then Lindsay posted, "I'll meet you there." Now tell me that is not a twin flame experience. Tell me that is not the twin flame energy. Now, there are different layers and levels of the twin flame journey. Everybody's experiencing it in different ways. But it all comes back to remembering love. It all comes back to healing. It all comes back to forgiveness. It all comes back to compassion. And it all comes back to just remembering and recognizing love. Again, recognition and remembrance. And so, frozen love. For years, this has played out with them for 50 years. So, for years, this love has been frozen. Now, whether or not they're reconciling in a relationship, or whether or not this is marketing for potentially a new album, that's conjecture, right? But we're just talking about the energy of it. We're just talking about the metaphor of it because it feels extremely significant metaphorically. So just be mindful of the context that we're putting this in. Frozen love. That's what this twin flame energy can sometimes feel like if you are in separation. It can feel like that love is frozen, like it's not going anywhere, like it's stale, like it's at a stalemate, right? But the thing to remember is that love is constantly moving. Love is a verb. It is action. It is in constant motion. It's just our own minds that perceive the separation. Again, healing the separation, healing that core wound, right? And so, as Mercury is having us reevaluate, recognize what love actually is, remember what love actually is, and where that love actually is within ourselves, the undercurrent of love that is experienced with counterpart connections. Remember, you're never triggering each other on purpose. It's never out of cruelty. It's never on purpose. You're just initiating that interaction. You're initiating that energy exchange and triggering what is already there. And so, unless you are perpetuating toxic cycles and not giving yourselves a chance to heal together, that's when toxicity can erupt and arise within a twin flame connection. And that's where separation kind of moves you to your separate corners so that you can heal, because you cannot heal where the wound is initiated. You just can't. And I went into this in a deep dive channeling that I actually reposted from 2022. We had done a teaching on this called Healing the Trauma of Separation. So it was all about separation, all about the trauma that you might experience, not with your counterpart, maybe with your counterpart. Because separation can feel very traumatic to the soul that wants to unite, that wants to be in the experience of love. But the heartbreak that you feel, the pain that you feel, the triggers that you feel, what actually does that mean? And we went into a whole diagram, we went into a whole teaching on that. So I really encourage you guys to check that out, because that might be a key in understanding how the dynamics of twin flames and sacred partners actually work, and what's actually happening, not just in the physical, but energetically beneath the surface, because the physical is just a mirror. There is so much more happening energetically than we are seeing physically with our human experience and within our human eyes, within our human experience. So it's just interesting because frozen love, if you go forward, I'll meet you there. That's the unity. That's the coming together. That's the reunion. That's the recognition. Love is never frozen, or never, love is never missing. It might just be frozen for a time. It just might be separate for a time, perceived as separation for a time. But the love is always there. The love is an energy that is always guiding us forward, guiding us home to each other. And that's what we have to remember. Change your viewpoint around separation. Change your perspective around what separation means. And that is where the healing is. And if you would like any guidance on this, or help support and navigating this within your own specific journey. I'm open to one-on-one sessions, or I have the Unity Code Intensive, which helps you go one-on-one, deep diving into your journey to completely transform your life, your energy, to empower yourself and shift your sacred union or whatever it is in your life. Remember, even though we're on a sacred union path of ascension, the sacred union path of ascension is not just your ascension with regards to your counterpart or union with your counterpart. It's also your relationship with money, your relationship with God's source, your relationship with your family members, your relationship to work, and especially your relationship to yourself. And once you change your relationship to yourself, that's when everything changes. And so, if you want any support, just feel free to check out my website or simply email me and I'll get you more information. But if you go forward, I'll meet you there. That is the recognition, that is the remembrance, that is the reunion energy. So I thought that was fascinating, and I just wanted to share that because, again, Mercury went retrograde that day, and it is just the twin flame energy. It's just the twin flame energy. It's just fascinating to me how we see that twin flame energy play out in so many different ways. And we can see it play out in toxic ways, or in the healed version, we can see it play out in divine ways, in very loving ways. And again, it's going to be our choice as far as what do we want to experience? Do we want to experience more separation? And what are we doing to heal that within ourselves? What are we doing to shift that in the world? And how we experience our individual journeys, and how are we experiencing that within the world itself. In my book, The Unity Code, we don't just go into your individual journey. We talk about how that impacts, yes, your sacred union path of ascension, your sacred partnership, but also you as an individual, and how that is a ripple effect on the whole world itself. That is the power of this connection. That is what this connection is for. It is for helping to shift not only your individual consciousness, but how that consciousness, that higher consciousness, has a ripple effect on the whole, on all. Okay, and the more people, I just want to add to that, the more people who are shifting into that higher level of consciousness and all the facets of that love, compassion, forgiveness, patience, acceptance, honoring of each other, the more that we shift into that energy, the more we just have a ripple effect on the whole, because everything is interconnected, the more the whole world has the ability to change. We lead by example. That's what it is. We lead by example. And that's what your unity consciousness is. Your shifting consciousness is you are leading by example in those higher energies and frequencies of love. All right, 2 downloads I got over the weekend was Come Home from One Republic and Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler. You can check out those lyrics and see if they relate to you. Another thing that happened, which was interesting, was a couple of weeks ago, I was browsing through the Disney Channel, whatever it is, that streaming network, Disney Plus, I think it is. And I got called to watch Moana. And I just kind of browsed through it, listened to some of the songs, and yeah, it was hitting. And then the other day, one of my best friends, her daughter, is in a summer camp for theater, and they're putting on a projection of Moana Jr. And she mentioned it, and she said, if anybody wants to come, I can get tickets. And so to support her and to support her daughter, I went. And it was very interesting because not only was I called to watch Moana, I get a lot of downloads through Disney. My whole journey, I've gotten downloads through Disney. Not only was I called to watch Moana, but as I was watching the show, I was getting even more about how this actually relates to the ascension journey. So Moana actually is one who sees through the shadow. We have, I don't know if you guys saw this, you can, if you have not seen Moana, either check it out and apply this, or you can just kind of skip over this. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to describe Moana in whole. I'm just going to give you what I got. So you have Te Kā, who is the divine feminine rage. She is the monster, the fire monster, right? But the return of her heart is Te Fiti, which is the divine feminine essence. And as a divine feminine, you have both. You have that divine feminine rage, right? And when you have broken heart, when you have sense of injustice, that dark divine feminine will come out, right? Because it is sacred rage. And we did a whole channeling on what sacred rage is. I'll put that in the description box for you to check it out. Sacred rage is righteous rage, and that's what moves mountains. That's what makes a change in this world. You know, it's very different from toxic rage or toxic anger that we've become used to. This is not toxic, this is sacred. And so it can feel like you are burning the world down, but sometimes we need to create destruction in our lives. It's Kalima energy. Sometimes the destruction is what actually brings about the creation. And so when Moana is returning her heart, the return of her heart, she becomes that divine feminine again. What happens when you lose your heart? There's a lyric that says, I don't think I shared it. Um, there's a couple of lyrics that were really important, and let me get it because I want to talk about it. Okay, I debated whether or not I just wanted to search it up, and I felt called to because I feel like these lyrics are important to the message that we're trying to convey. It's towards the end of the movie, and she's talking to Tafiti, the divine feminine goddess. And she sings, I've crossed a horizon to find you. I know your name. They have stolen the heart from inside you, but this does not define you. This is not who you are. You know who you are. Take a moment right now and just think about that and what that means for your journey. It's getting me choked up now. It was getting me choked up in the theater because it just so deeply resonates with our journey. They have stolen the heart from inside you, but this does not define you. This is not who you are. You know who you are. This is the recognition and remembrance. Now, who's the they? The they can be society, patriarchy, the world. It could be where you were brought up, traumas and experiences you had in childhood that silenced you, where you were persecuted, prosecuted for speaking up and sharing yourself, sharing your essence, sharing your heart, and sharing your soul. We've all experienced something in our lives. Every one of us has experienced something in our lives. This is not just the divine feminine. This is the divine feminine with all of us, within all of us. Where you have experienced this feeling like your voice was stolen, feeling like your heart was broken, feeling like you had to suppress yourself or suppress your very soul, this ascension journey is the return of the heart, because those experiences do not define you. You know who you are. You know who you've always been. And so this is the return of you. It's always been there. You don't need somebody to return your heart to you. It's always been there inside of you. Always. Always. And so when Moana returns the heart to Tafiti, she restores the world to balance and peace. And it's this beautiful scene in the movie. Beautiful. And she has this moment, Moana has this moment in the movie where she just reclaims herself. I am Moana. I can do this. I can cross the horizon to find her. I can return the heart to Tafiti. I can complete this journey. I can do this because I know who I am, and you know who you are too. So we might do a deeper dive into this at some point. I just wanted to mention it because it was something that came up for me, and it just feels very appropriate for where we are in our ascension journey as a collective and individually. There was something else with regards to Maui. Maui is that divine masculine essence, right? So if Tafiti is the divine feminine goddess, Maui is the divine masculine god. And so he goes through his own kind of evolution where he loses his, I forget what it's called, his magical power thing. I forget what it's called. His hook, the hook. His hook that he believes is what gives him his power, but that power is within him, and he just has to believe in that. He just has to believe in himself. He has to believe that his worth is in who he is, not what he does, and that is the crux of the divine masculine journey. And so it's just a beautiful representation of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and the journey as a whole. Okay, that said, where are we on time? Okay, I got another music download last night. I get a lot through Broadway and musicals and Disney and all that. I got the song Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, from the musical Evita. And the lyric that stood out was, I guess I didn't write it down. Um, the truth is, I never left you. I kept my promise, don't keep your distance. And that kind of goes along the lines of the other download that we got, come home. Come home. Now, this could be come home to yourself, come home deeper to yourself. This could be come home to each other if we're talking about sacred partners. Come home to that remembrance, not seeking outside of yourself, but remembering the love that has always existed within your connection or within you. Um, the last lyric that resonated was, there's nothing more I can think of to say to you, but all you have to do is look at me to know that every word is true. The sincerity, the unconditional love, you feel it. You know what's true. Not from the ego mind. The ego mind is going to play tricks on you. The ego mind is going to keep you in consciousness loops. The ego mind is trying to protect you. You know in your heart, in your soul, what is true. That's where you connect. That's where you return to love. Okay, then I woke up in the middle of the night and it was just a whole bunch of information and insight and downloads that were coming. And I ended up writing a little bit of a what we call a rampage, as Abraham Hicks calls it, a rampage. Um, so I'm going to share this with you um, in the hopes that it empowers you. And this is especially for you, divine feminines. Divine feminine, it is no wonder that the divine masculine felt intimidated by you. Because look at your courage. Look at your strength. You have opened your heart and leaned into love even when it scared you. You took everything that was thrown at you, every trigger, every wound, every trauma, and you alchemized it in the sanctity of your own remembrance. You have forgiven and accepted and held compassion and space for your darkness as well as for others, including your counterpart. And you loved and you loved and you loved. You are a goddess. You are a warrior. You are the flame. You are your union. Don't you ever forget how worthy you are. And don't you ever let someone make you feel inferior to that. Not anyone. Not anyone. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they mean to you. I don't care what kind of connection it is. Don't you ever let someone make you feel inferior. Don't ever let them make you feel like you are too much. Don't ever let them make you feel like you are not enough. Don't ever let them make you feel like you don't matter because you matter. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Look at how far you have come in your healing, in your life, and who you are. Don't settle for scraps and breadcrumbs. Don't settle for what is not worthy of the person that you are when you are accepting yourself and loving yourself and honoring yourself. You're worthy of someone who will be your sacred husband. You are worthy of being someone's sacred wife. You're worthy of someone who sees you as their queen and who wants to stand beside you as your king. You're worthy of someone who will go to the ends of the earth for you, who will fight for you, who will stand up for you, who will honor you. Men once built temples to honor the feminine, but you are the temple. You yourself are the temple. And don't forget it. Any masculine, not just counterpart connection, any masculine who attempts to minimize you, or who tries to make you feel inferior, or who tries to tear that temple down, to neglect yourself or abandon yourself, that's their own insecurities. That's their own feelings of unworthiness. You do not have to claim that for yourself. That's where they're called to do the work and rise as a collective. Because the divine masculine is always welcomed home in the temple of the heart if they are doing that work and meeting you where you are. And for divine masculines watching this, because I know that there are some who do, if that triggers you, then good. Let that trigger you in a way that it motivates you. That it motivates you to rise up and be that compassionate warrior for your divine feminine. Be the person that you know you can be, that you want to be. Let it trigger you in a way that it motivates you. Not that it defeats you or deflates you. Let it be speaking to the part of your soul that knows that you want to rise to. Divine Masculine, if that triggers you, good. Rise to become the warrior that you are inside and that you have always been, that the Divine Feminine has always seen. Get your shit together, Divine Masculine. Get it together. Put it in a backpack. Get it together so it's all together. Get your shit together. Be the true warrior that you came here to be. Because that is who you both came here to be. Okay, let's get to the reading. Welcome back to part 2. We're doing the Sacred Union Energy Update reading. How are you guys feeling? Are you fired up after that little rampage? I hope that it empowered you to remember who you are, masculine or feminine. I hope it empowered you to remember more of who you are and what you came here for. Not to play small, not to hide yourself, not to hold yourself back, not to settle. To ignite your soul, to ignite that flame inside your heart. And yeah, we might be feeling a little bit feral these days, but isn't that Divine Feminine energy too? All right, let's see what's going on for the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, and the Union energies. As usual, take these for your inner masculine, your counterpart connection to understand what they're going through and maybe hold compassion for them and their journey, and for the collective as a whole, because this is not just playing out within your own individual journey, but on the larger scale within the world. So let's see what's going on for the Divine Masculine. Well, holy crap. Okay. I'm going to read on all of these cards for a minute. I'm not going to take all of these and put them back into the pile, but I'm going to read on all of them because I was called to. This one as well. Oh my gosh. Holy shit. Okay. All right. Let's start. Here we have the Door to Romance, which is the leading card. I was also called to take the Temple Path at the bottom of the deck. This is igniting their heart. This is connecting them to their higher heart, not the ego anymore, not should I, what should I do, out of duty, out of obligation, out of history, out of whatever. This is connecting to the real-time truth that they're feeling inside their heart, and it is being ignited. And that door is opening up. Now, remember, romance is an energy. It is an energy in which you express love. It can show up in the form of like dates and candles and flowers and expressions and letters of love and things like that. It can show up like that. But at its core, when you strip all of that away, all the sunset walks and starlit moments, when you strip all of that away, and that's beautiful. Those are beautiful human experiences that we have in the expression of love. What romance is simply that, the expression of love. How are we expressing love? That's all it is. Romance is the expression of ourselves in that energy of love. And that's what they're connecting to. When we talked about Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham with regards to their lyrics, Frozen Love, that's what's cracking open. Where the heart might have felt frozen, guarded, shut down, under armor, opening up to love has felt very scary, especially if you've been pained in the past, especially if there has been history, if there's been wounding. But learning to trust each other, to lean into each other, again, is, well, for some it is somebody new, learning to open up to somebody new. Maybe it's actually even a new version of your counterpart. So there's the again. Take it as it resonates. Everybody's path is going to be a little bit different. Learning to open up in that trust from that higher level of consciousness is what creates that new beginning. And that's part of the temple path you've been on. That's part of the journey that you've been on, coming closer and closer inside yourself. You see this inner spiral? Home to yourself, deeper and deeper, within connection to yourself within that inner spiral, because that's what ascension is. You're raising in frequency, yes. You're ascending in consciousness, yes. But you're doing that by going deeper and deeper into the truth of yourself. Deeper and deeper into connection with your very soul. Deeper and deeper into the heart of the matter. And that's what this energy feels like. Here, we also have the 7th chakra, which is the crown chakra, connection to the spiritual, connection to source energy. And so that's where you're getting downloads. That's where you're getting intuitive understanding. And that's where I'm also hearing Mercury retrograde is playing a part and having you kind of reevaluate, recognize, remember who you are, recognize and remember the connection. I was not intending on this being a love reading. It was something that I wanted to do. But the feralness that I was feeling after the rampage that I channeled last night, I didn't realize that this was going to be a connection, like a love reading connection, but we're going to go with that. We're going to do that. We have the door to romance opened up. So we're going to explore that as well, the connection in that deeper sense of how are you feeling about each other? How are you actually connecting with each other? And what does that mean for your human experience too? So, Divine Masculine is getting a lot of downloads and insight with regards to the truth of this connection. And that's because they're connecting to their heart. And what I'm actually getting is the heart and the higher mind. The higher mind is not the ego. The ego is what you identify, your belief systems, your survival instincts, things like that. We need the ego. When the spiritual community says kill the ego, that's a false paradigm. That's a falsity. You don't have to kill the ego. You're aware of the ego so that you can almost like transcend it. You still identify with your human self. You're still human. I'm still Susan, but I'm also identifying with the spiritual aspect of me too. You hold more than one version of yourself. You are your human self and your human experiences that likes what it likes and experiences what it experiences, but you're also the energy, the spirit, the soul. And so that's your spiritual journey, is bringing those spiritual codes into your human experience and learning to hold the balance. And so when we're talking about the higher mind, we're not talking about ego. That is all the defense program and patterning and all the stuff that was operating kind of either in the unconscious or that you are just that just helps you identify as the human version of you. And the key is to let the soul speak louder, is to identify more with the spiritual aspect while not negating your human aspect, because you are the bridge of both. So the higher mind and the higher heart being that bridge, being that balance of both the human and the spiritual in this higher frequency. And that's why we call it the higher heart and the higher mind, because it's that higher level of consciousness and the higher frequency. And so I feel like the Divine Masculine is receiving a lot of clarity too with this Mercury retrograde, because they're tapped in and tuned in to the higher mind by going deep within themselves and connecting with their soul and their heart, opening their heart. And what we have here is creating a new foundation. Happy Family is the Ten of Cups card. It is the thing that makes you feel most alive. There's a phrase that's coming to mind. It's when you go to the beach, or anywhere really, in a place that is sacred, in a place that is calming and peaceful. Where does your mind wander, or to whom does your mind wander? Where does your heart call? When you are not in your ego, when you're not in your pain, where does your heart actually call? What is home to you? That's the Ten of Cups. That's this energy. And with the 4 number, they're giving me the energy of foundation, building a new foundation from that place. The contract card is ending karmic contracts, anywhere where you felt obligated, anywhere where you felt a duty, anywhere where you felt a repetition, consciousness loops, anywhere where you were experiencing repeating patterns. And remember, I think that we talked about this where did we talk about this? In one of the recent channelings, and I've talked about this in the Higher Heart Academy. We have a whole workshop based on clearing the karmic, or clearing the karma. Karma, or the karmic, as we know it in the Twin Flame community, is not just another person or a relationship. It could be, but it could also be a belief system. It could also be something like an addiction, a way of doing things, a way of thinking about things. And so it creates a karmic pattern. That's all it is. It's a pattern that keeps repeating that you're no longer in alignment with. And it is your journey's job, the job of your journey, to keep clearing that and shifting out of those karmic patterns. And so it could be a person, it could be another relationship that is karmic in nature. What are you learning from it? But once you learn and heal that relationship, then that lesson is over. That karma is completed. You're not meant to stay where you are. And again, that could be addiction, that could be financial scarcity, your relationship with money, that could be something like a career. If you're stuck in a career that is no longer serving you, you're just kind of perpetuating that karma and perpetuating those karmic loops. So this is all about breaking free from those soul contracts or from that karma. And that's also this, where you felt trapped, the garden and the gate, where you felt trapped, there is a whole world beyond that. And that's where your expansion is, divine masculine, expanding beyond what you might have thought you were limited to, so that you can embrace more happiness, more balance, more peace, more harmony. And this is very closely aligned with the connection with the feminine, because she is that expansion, and she is showing you where that expansion is, where to keep expanding, where to keep doing that inner work, so that you can keep breaking free from any karmic patterns within yourself and opening up. And that's what you do for each other. Divine feminine has experienced that with you, divine masculine. So this is not one-sided, but this is where we are now, where the feminine is kind of leading the way energetically. All right, I'm gonna keep those two there, and let's see what's going on for the divine feminine. What's going on for the divine feminine? We have hostilities and we have patience. Everybody's favorite word on this journey, patience, right? Divine feminines. The thing about patience, I just want to hone in on this for a minute because that's where they're bringing me. The thing about patience is we can get frustrated with ourselves, which means that we can then be frustrated with the divine timing and alignment of things. That's where we're trying to rush it. We're trying to get to an end result. And I feel like that might be part of the hostilities. If you are feeling frustrated with your journey, if you're feeling frustrated with your counterpart, that's where it can be. Where are you trying to get to the end result and not enjoying the journey as it is? Not enjoying the foundations that are being placed, not enjoying the communication that's coming in, not enjoying the insights that you're getting, or at the very least, not enjoying and accepting yourself, where you are in your life. I had my own kind of epiphany about this the other day, where I realized, my life might not be everything of what I want yet. My life might not be picture perfect according to everything that I desire, but I am so happy with where I am. And I know that more is coming. It's not something that I'm reaching for, it's not something that I'm seeking. It's just a natural occurrence of my evolution in my life, of the evolution of my own human experience. So I might not have my dream home. I might not be, traveling yet to Europe 2 to 3 months out of the year yet. I might, still not have all of my dreams yet. But the more I was leaning into that lack, the more I was not believing it was even possible, when anything is possible. And so this weekend, I felt a shift in my mindset when I realized I actually have so much of what I wanted, and look at how far I've come. I always say this to my one-to-one clients. I always remind you to look back at where you were and the transformation that you have experienced within yourself and within your own life. When I look at where I was to where I am, it is night and day. Night and day. When I look at where I was when I was in the thick of illness and the scarcity and the fear to where I am now, the energy is just inexplicable. Night and day from where I was. And so too am I realizing I actually have a lot of what I want. Nurturing my family relationships, having a sense of freedom, having a sense of where I'm headed, having that purpose, having my passion. I have a lot of what I want, and it might not be everything yet, but that's the joy of the journey. And so once I just kind of leaned into and accepted where I am, it became so much more enjoyable. So much more enjoyable. And so have patience, Divine Feminine. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy where you are. Enjoy what you're creating for yourself, and just know that you are constantly creating. I want to get some other. Okay, so I was gonna ask for another card, and I got the card Envy at the bottom of the deck. They pointed me to. So some of the hostilities here might be along those lines with that message, Divine Feminine, of where might you be comparing your journey to others, or where might you either be, also be, how do I say this? Kind of in comparison with your future self. I don't know if that makes sense. It's the way that they're bringing it to me. Where might you be in competition or comparison with your future self? And that's kind of where you might be out of alignment. That's where you might be holding yourself back in some subtle or self-sabotaging ways. If you are trying so hard to get to here, that you're not loving and appreciating and accepting where you are and loving yourself as you are. So that's where some of the hostilities might be coming up. You might be in competition with other people who might seem further ahead on their journey than you. Don't be in competition with anybody else. You're exactly where you need to be. It is perfect for you. Perfect for you. Love your journey. Love your journey. Love every aspect of your journey. Love the little moments. Even love the triggers, because the triggers are showing you where the love is lacking. The triggers are just showing you where to continue doing the deep dives and the healing. That's part of the journey too. So appreciate the journey. Look at it through a different lens. And once you shift the way you see it, that's when everything begins to change. There's a quote. I don't know if it's a lyric. Once you shift the way you see, the things you see changes. Something like that. That might be a lyric. I can't remember. Once you shift the way you see things, the things you see changes. That's, again, the law of the universe, the law of attraction. Oh, I want to get a union card. Okay, let's see what's going on with the union energies. What's going on with the union energies? What's going on with the union? It's too much. What's going on with the union energies? Attachment. This is an interesting energy. Yeah, walking away. Okay. And healing. Yeah, okay. This is an interesting energy, because immediately what they're pointing me to is release. So we can look at, this is what I mean by when you shift the way you see things, the things you see changes. It's all about your perspective. And we were talking in that channeling in the first half of the video about the separation wound, right? Where are you disconnected? Where are you feeling separate from yourself? Where are you perceiving that separation? Attachment can be a chain. It can be a ball and chain. It can be something that keeps you tethered, and that's the consciousness loop, right? But once you shift your perspective, what happens is it creates a change. It frees you. And that's the 5 that they're pointing me to. 5 is a number of change. And she's holding the mask. The mask isn't on her face. She's now being authentic. She's releasing any of the old attachment to old beliefs. And those beliefs could be the mask of feeling unworthy, the mask of feeling like you don't deserve, like you're too much, like you're not enough, the mask of abandoning yourself, the mask of fear, the fear of initiating, the fear of trust, the fear of making yourself bigger, honoring yourself, where you're making yourself too small is what I'm trying to say. So this is releasing the attachment to those old ways of being, releasing the attachment to that old identity. That was the mask. Being true to who you are means stepping up into your power. It means seeing yourself as the goddess that you are, the divine masculine, divine feminine that you are. And the more that you see and honor that within yourself, not in the ego, not in spiritual ego or spiritual conceit, but just in an honoring of the truth of who you are as a soul, the more you create change in your connection. The more you walk away from the old that's no longer in alignment, the old versions of you, things in your life that are no longer in alignment, the more you allow for the healing, for the growth, for the evolution, for the union. All right. Let's see what is going on for the masculine when it comes to this connection and the divine feminine. Let's see what's going on for this connection when it comes to the masculine, or to the feminine, and this connection. We have the Two of Wands. Two of Wands is all about making decisions, but not in a mental way. It's about choosing a path, taking that action. Which path am I choosing? That's what Mercury retrograde is all about, is what they're giving me too. Mercury retrograde is all about, are you going to repeat the past, or are you going to move in a different direction? And it's not about waiting until Mercury retrograde is over. It's about making those changes, shifting those patterns, taking new action now, because that's what gets you into alignment with the new. And so Mercury retrograde is all about, again, that realignment, recognition, remembrance, connecting deeper to yourself and to your heart and letting that guide you forward. And so it's all about reevaluating what's important, reevaluating where you want to go, who you want to be, and then taking those steps to become that. Or you can repeat the past. You can stay stuck. That's always the choice point here. Tell me more about the divine masculine when it comes to the divine feminine, this connection. Tell me more about the divine. Okay, there we go. The Hermit. Yeah, there's a huge contemplative energy here for the divine masculine. And you see all that energy that's coming down into the heart chakra. This divine masculine, I feel, is making decisions about who and what is important to them. Who is in their heart. And I feel like that's the 7th chakra card that we got earlier. It's connecting to not their ego and not the pain of the past. It is connecting to their higher mind and receiving insights and understanding and clarity about the connection and about where they want to go in the connection. What they want that connection to be. Let me have a little bit more clarity on this, please. The Hermit and the Two of Wands. Okay, thank you. The Knight of Wands. Yeah, taking action. Moving forward. I like how there's this Golden Retriever here. Because you have that saying on the internet now these days, Golden Retriever energy, green flag energy. Being the kind of person that is stable, that is consistent, that is secure, that is safe for the divine feminine, wanting to be that person, wanting to be that masculine energy. And the Golden Retriever, the dog as a whole, is a very loyal energy, a very trusting energy. And building back that trust is also what I'm hearing. Building that back that trust and that sense of safety for the divine feminine, I feel, is important for this divine masculine. And learn to build that trust back within themselves too. To remember that they are worthy of this connection, that they are worthy of love. And that's part of the divine insight that they're getting here. That's part of what they're understanding as they go deeper and deeper within. I am worthy and always have been worthy of this connection. I am worthy and always have been worthy of this love. Where I might have been afraid of it in the past, where I might have pushed it away in the past, now I'm ready to move forward. I'm just making that decision. I am making that conscious choice now with regards to the path that I want to go on. The path that I choose to becoming the best and highest version of myself. How are they feeling about the divine feminine? How are they actually feeling about the divine feminine? How are they actually feeling about the divine feminine? Oh, the King of Swords, wow, and the Eight of Wands. The King of Swords is an interesting energy. In the past, the King of Swords could have been, in the distorted version, someone who withholds communication, who is very stoic, doesn't communicate a lot, especially when it comes to expressing themselves or their own feelings. Again, very can kind of be like an icy cold kind of energy that left you guessing, divine feminine. And that stoicism might, that holding back their affection, that holding back themselves, that might have created that sense of insecurity and sense of lack of safety within your connection if you were in a relationship or within the connection as a whole, especially if you were feeling the energy of this connection, the love within this connection. If there was no communication, or if there was a withholding of affection, again, that inconsistency led to insecurity and a lack of safety. And you need those within a conscious connection, within a relationship. For any relationship to work, any intimate relationship to work, any relationship as a whole, they're correcting me, you need to build that sense of safety and security with each other. And if you have inconsistency, if you're withholding expression, if you're withholding yourself, that creates inconsistency. That creates a sense of lack of safety or a sense of insecurity. And no relationship will last or thrive or grow without that foundation of consistency, safety, and security. It just won't. It just won't. Because as humans, you need that. You need to build that together, to show each other that you are for each other, to build that intimacy together, to build that trust together. That is the foundation of every relationship. And when you are consciously doing that, when you are consciously communicating, when you are consciously expressing yourself, when you are consciously building that sense of safety and trust together, then you have the foundation for a holy connection. So this King of Swords, however, is very divine. It's divine masculine coded. And this divine masculine energy feels like wanting to communicate now. You have this amazing hawk, eagle, I don't know what you call it, the hawk, and you also have the bow and arrow. The wands here indicate that bow and arrow kind of energy, moving forward, that forward momentum, wanting to communicate, wanting to move towards the feminine in some way. That could be in a sense of travel. Eight of Wands is travel or communication. And so it could be literally traveling towards you if you guys are at a physical distance. It could be energetically traveling towards each other. Again, coming towards each other in healthier connection. No longer trying to do this individually or on your own, but in partnership, in harmony together, and recognizing the value of that is also what I'm hearing. But this King of Swords, what I like about this is the hawk is spiritual enlightenment, understanding, wisdom. And the divine masculine carries a lot of spiritual wisdom. They might not recognize that within themselves, and especially if they were so caught up in the ego or the spiritual ego. But once they connect with their heart and they are in alignment with their higher mind and their higher heart, in that balance, in their authentic self, not speaking from the sense of coldness or stoicism, releasing that mask, once they are being true to who they are, connected to their heart, not afraid to express their heart, that's when they communicate in that leadership energy, because the King of Swords is a leader, connected to their logic and reason, but also connected to their heart and able to express themselves in a very grounded way, and thus move forward. And that's what I feel like this divine masculine is connecting with the divine feminine, wanting to communicate from a different level, in a different way, wanting to move forward. What's holding them back? What's holding them back? Five of Swords, themselves, the past. The Five of Swords is battle of the heart and mind. It's only themselves. It's keeping themselves trapped. But look at the bottom of the deck. Take that step forward in overcoming that fear, and you have the Two of Cups. You have the two of you coming together. And what I love about this is they are actually sharing each other. She has, looks like a clamshell or an oyster shell with a pearl. He has like a conch shell. And you're sharing each other. You're sharing love. You're sharing wisdom. You're sharing connection. You're sharing a whole lot of energy. But you're sharing it in a different way. Calm, peace, harmony, unconditional love. What's holding you back is just yourself. Battling of the mind and the heart. Could also be the past. Overcoming that is going to be the key. Yeah, the world at the bottom of the deck. Overcoming that is the key. All All right, let's see what's going on for the divine feminine when it comes to the connection. Divine feminine, what do we need to know about you when it comes to the connection with your divine masculine? What do we need to know for you? We have the Six of Wands and we have the Wheel of Fortune. The Six of Wands is an energy of you've overcome the battle and now you're moving forward. The Wheel of Fortune, I love the Wheel of Fortune because the Wheel of Fortune can be fated events, yes. Can be destiny, yes. But it is the wheel that is in motion. The wheel that is moving. Things are moving forward. And so where you might have felt stagnancy within yourself, within your connection, things are moving forward. I did a deep dive late last week where I just had a communion with God and I said, show me all the places where I'm in resistance to myself. And it brought up a lot because I realized that I was actually in resistance to this connection myself because I was in a place of fear of, oh my gosh, what if the past repeats itself? What if, we're not able to overcome the past and we get caught up in the same cycles? What if we could communicate the same way? But what I realized was that was a fear. And that fear was creating that resistance within me. And I don't like feeling that way. And so any time I'm aware of that I don't like feeling this way, that's where I want my healing to be. Because I want to change. Not for the connection to change, but because I want to change how I feel about the connection. Or I want to change how I feel within myself or in my own life. And so that's the motivating factor. And so what was interesting is as I was asking where resistance is within me, it was coming up within my connection, old patterns, old fears, the history. And it was, what if? And so once I cleared that energy, I realized, okay, it was just resistance because of that pattern, because of that fear, because we had played that out. And what if it plays out again? But what shifted for me was realizing it can't play out again the same way because I'm different and potentially he's different. Or the way that I communicate is going to be different. The way that I interact is going to be different. I'm already seeing that in my interactions with other people, with friends, with family members, within my own life, with how I communicate in my business, with how I communicate just even within myself, how I'm communicating with myself, how I'm viewing myself, how I'm experiencing myself. That is all different. And so it can't ever play out the same way. As you shift, your reality shifts. There could be hints of the old, but then again, we talked about this in the channeling. How are you responding in that new level of awareness versus reacting in the old? And so that's part of the consciousness shift. And so with the Six of Wands, where you might have felt stuck, maybe in that stagnation, in that resistance, this is where you're moving forward and that wheel is turning. Okay. If you guys want additional support, again, I am open to one-on-one sessions, single sessions. We have a self-study in the Higher Heart Academy, as well as one-to-one mentorship in our alignment calls twice a month. Or if you want to do the deep dives, if you are ready to completely transform your life, not just with regards to your sacred union, but within yourself and every aspect of your life, I am open to the Unity Code Intensive. You can check out all of that on my website. How are the Divine Feminines feeling about the Divine Masculines? How are they feeling about the Divine Masculines? How is the Divine Feminine feeling about the Divine Masculine? Ten of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, ready to bring this into the physical. You have existed so much and nurtured so much of that energy within Divine Feminine in the energetic realms. You have been activated, you have experienced phenomena, you have connected in dream state, in meditation, you're just connecting energetically. But now it's moving into the physical. That's what the Ten of Pentacles is. Ten of Pentacles is the match to the Ten of Cups. But the Ten of Cups is all about that emotional aspect. It's the energy. The Ten of Pentacles is bringing it grounded into the physical, and that is what you're ready for. Ace of Pentacles, you are ready for this new version, this new reality, this, how do I say this? The manifestation. of everything that you've been cultivating, everything that you've been claiming within yourself, within the energy field. You're ready to bring that and anchor it into your physical reality. And it is anchoring into the physical reality. And I love the sunflower here because the sunflower is that growth. It's not just a seed that you had planted. That seed that you've nurtured, the energy that you've nurtured, has now become the sunflower. You're ready, Divine Feminine. You are ready. Don't hold yourself back. You are ready for this in the physical because you have done the inner work. You have not focused on the physical as the barometer for your union. You have honored and integrated the inner union within yourself, and so now you're experiencing it in the physical. This could be in the form of communication. This could be in the form of friendship and building that foundation again. Again, coming back to the beginning. That's what you're always doing. You're coming back to the beginning, but in a new level of awareness where it's going to feel like you're meeting again, and you might even have that activation again. But it is going to be from a higher level of consciousness. So you're not going to experience the journey like you did, and I know that's where the fear is. You're not going to experience the journey that you did. It's going to be different because you are different. And that's going to relate to everybody in a little bit of a different way. For some, it's going to be you experience it differently with your counterpart because you're different and they're different. And you come back into a union where you are for each other, where you are experiencing this together and growing together. And that's where it's going to be different. For others, it might be where you are different, and so you're no longer, if the masculine that returns is continuing to be in a kind of like a toxic energy, or continuing to repeat those patterns or those behaviors of the old, that is no longer serving them and no longer serving you, because you're not in alignment with that anymore, then your different is that you're not accepting that. You're not abandoning yourself for that. You're not abandoning yourself for the connection anymore. So that's where you might be different. And so how it shows up in the physical could be your counterpart, or it could be just honoring yourself. But Divine Feminine, you're always going to see the seeds that you planted coming to fruition in some way, shape, or form. You are meant for union. And so you might start by seeing that with regards to money, with regards to business or career changes, with regards to I always call it like the biggies, the big themes, like travel or location, getting your dream home or something like that. You're going to start seeing that come to fruition, as well as in the relationships with family, the relationships with friends, the relationships including a counterpart connection. So it's gonna begin to show itself because you're ready for it. You're ready for it. You are ready. So, what do I want to ask? We asked what's holding you back. Yeah, let's do that too. What might be holding you back, Divine Feminine? We talked about that a little bit. What might still be holding you back, Divine Feminine? What might still be holding you back within this connection? What might still be holding you back? You're ready for it. You feel like you're ready for it. What might still be holding you back? Nothing. Nothing. You're just watering it. You've planted the seeds. Just water it. You don't have to reach for it. You don't have to overwater it. That kills the plant, right? If you're putting in too much effort and it's one-sided, you're in that chasing energy. That's where you push it away. That's where you kill the energy of it. You kill the momentum of it. Just lightly water it. Just feel into the energy of it. Just feel into the love. And when you feel that connection with your counterpart and you feel that your love for him or from him, just let yourself feel it. Let yourself be in the flow of it. Don't make it mean more than that. Just let that energy flow. You're already nurturing it. You're already doing it. Yeah, Temperance card. Just let that energy flow. And my favorite card of this deck is the Six of Cups. Look at how you're holding each other in that peace, in that harmony, in that reunion energy. All right, anything we need to know for the union? Anything we need to know for the union energy? Gosh, that's a lot. Page of Wands. There is momentum. There is action. I said a long time ago in a channeling that sometimes the smallest steps are energetically the greatest leaps. So it's not breadcrumbs. It's not scraps. Energetically, you know the difference now, Divine Feminine. Do not settle for the breadcrumbs. Do not settle for the scraps. Do not engage. You don't have to engage with that anymore, especially if it's not in alignment with who you are, who you've become, and who you continue to be, who you remember yourself to be. This energy feels like the smallest steps are sometimes energetically the biggest leaps. And so if it is small communications, direct communication, consistent communication, even if it is not the longer conversations, even if it is just a step forward in reaching out, that is energetically a giant leap. Because here the divine masculine is overcoming that fear. That's a giant leap. So honor that divine feminine. That's especially a message for you. Sometimes the smallest steps are the giant leaps. How are you going to receive that? So are you going to say, oh, he's not coming forward with a proposal or flowers or a promise of commitment, so I'm going to reject that? I mean, you can if you want, but you would just be pushing away the energy of what's trying to come in, which is a new foundation. Building again that trust, building that intimacy again, building that foundation again, which is what is necessary for a sustained connection, a sustained relationship, a sustained union. The foundation has to be set. And so that's where divine feminines, for you, enjoy the journey. Enjoy how it is evolving. Enjoy where you are. It is not going to be the pain of the past. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Because you yourself are different. And so you're more aware, you're more conscious, you're approaching it differently. You're not abandoning yourself into the connection anymore. You're not dishonoring yourself anymore. You are in a place where you are honoring yourself and also demanding that honoring of your energy. Just as you're honoring the masculines. So with the Page of Wands, steps might be a little bit smaller steps. But what I like about this is the page is taking those steps forward and learning. It's not the Knight. The Knight of Wands is that brazen, reckless, very impulsive energy. That doesn't create a strong foundation at all. The page is learning. You learn as you go, and you're learning together in that union as you go. And that's what builds the foundation, and that's what creates the trust, and that's what creates the intimacy. That's what completely transforms your union into one of sacred love. Okay. I'm going to end with these cards. I haven't used these in forever, and I was called to pull them out. So let's see what each counterpart needs to know. These are always very hard to shuffle. Okay. What does the masculine need to know? Let's see, what does the masculine want the feminine to know? What does the masculine want the feminine to know? Power. You instinctively know what is right for you, and you have the power to say no or to walk away at any time. The masculine is saying, divine feminine, trust your power. Trust yourself. This is where your journey has led you, divine feminine. Trust your power. If it is not in alignment with who you have become, they're saying trust that. Trust that. Divine masculine, divine feminine, we've talked about this in my book. We've talked about this in previous readings. You have to have a level of trust for each other on the energetic level. Divine feminine, you have to trust that the masculine on a maybe unconscious level, on a spiritual level, and an energetic level, knows what they are doing. They know what they are doing. They know the journey that they're on energetically. It might not be showing itself in the physical, but that's where you don't have to engage with the physical. Keep nurturing that connection within yourself. If the physical is the complete opposite of what you want, or the complete opposite of anything that is honoring of you, do not engage with it. Don't continue to engage with that. Keep nurturing the connection that you know is true within your heart. Divine masculine is saying, trust yourself. Trust yourself. That is your power. Divine feminine, what do you want to say to the divine masculine? What do you want to say to the divine masculine? Divine masculine, the past is now behind you. Release it and embrace new possibilities. A new path is now available to you. Follow it with faith. The divine feminine is saying you can trust this. You don't have to hold yourself back by the past. The past is done. There's a lot of forgiveness energy that's coming here. And now it's time, divine masculine, for you to forgive yourself too. If you truly want this connection, if you truly want this new foundation, this new beginning, if you truly want this, you have to forgive yourself and the past, as your feminine has done, and release the past so that you can come together in a new way, in a new beginning. Be the version of you that you want to be so that you can come together in that new beginning. Okay, in the bottom of the deck, we have Twin Flame. Your passion ignites. Okay, we're going to end there. We are having some road construction outside my house over the next week, so if we do any readings, it will be in the evening. So just make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned. And please be sure that you're sharing with me how this is resonating with you in the comments. Your interaction helps me to gauge where we are as a collective, and also helps me to tune more into your collective energies. So please do make sure that you are leaving a comment, even if it's something just like a heart emoji or something, like a little maybe like a little fire emoji or something. Just lets me know that it's resonating, because that helps me. It keeps me motivated, number one, and it helps me kind of gauge where we are as a collective as well. All right, I am sending you all so much love, so much light, and we'll see you soon.